TERRI TV. Yes, it is September 9th, 2024. And forgive me for being a little bit late. I have been sick last week. I think I mentioned it on Friday as I couldn't broadcast. I went to a couple of events last week, and the main event that I went to, there was smoke. I went to a, what's it called? I can never remember the name of it. I went to a special VIP preview of, and I'm going to read it because I can never remember it, Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. It was a lot of fun. I took my husband. We did not go through a haunted house, but we did walk around a little bit, and they had smoke, and I had a reaction to it. You can still hear it a little bit in my nose, but I'm going to drink this tea. I have Kleenex, I have water. Yeah. So this is the situation. This is the deal. And welcome. I'm glad to see you. Glad to have you back. Glad to be back. My name is TERRI HARDIN. I am a pop icon, a Disney Imagineer, Disney's legendary Imagineer, a Henson Muppeteer, and an internationally trademarked artist and speaker. Among other things, just Google me. I have 2 Wikipedia pages. There's plenty of stuff to read about me. If you have no flipping idea who I am, this is a great way to find out who I am. And then you can listen to this channel, which can be anything from, let me just cut to the chase. It's usually whatever's on my mind. Okay? Yeah, whatever happens to strike TERRI's brain at the time. And today, I want to tell you about Outrageous Pumpkins, the TV show. I am a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins, the TV show. Okay? And I'm going to show you a picture of last year, if you have not been there. I'm just going to tell you before I forget that Outrageous Pumpkins is going to air on September 29th, season 5. If it's a show you love, like Halloween Wars, Halloween is your thing, September 29th, season 5, Outrageous Pumpkins, the pumpkin competition show, airs on the Food Network, Discovery Channel. It also shows on Max. So you'll be able to see it somewhere, some point, sometime. Yeah. You need to tune in this time because it is a, let me see. It is going to be a really super show this year. Now, I may have said this every year, but this year they always get better. This is the thing about the people that put on this, the people of all of us that work on Outrageous Pumpkins. It's always better every year. I remember in the early years, it was a little challenging for them as they tried to get contestants because many of the contestants who compete, some earn a living pumpkin sculpting. For others, maybe they do it at a party, or maybe they do it for their friends and family, but many do it for places like, Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, or Radio City Music Hall, or even on the steps of the White House. So to get these people to compete or to be a part of it, you've got to bring something that they want to have. In the Outrageous Pumpkin show, you compete for a big prize, 25 grand, I think it is this year. This year, I couldn't tell you, but usually 25 grand. The point is this, that when you are a really qualified pumpkin carver or you're a pumpkin carver that seems to market yourself well or whatever, you can make some good money at being a pumpkin carver for events, parties, engagements, zoos, all kinds of gatherings. And the fact of the matter is, if I wanted to, I could do the same. I tell you now that I'd rather teach classes and teach you how to do it. And that's a mission of mine, is I would like to teach you how to do it. And I do have classes coming up in October that I will be announcing in about a week. Okay, so keep your ears posted, and I will announce it on this channel. Maybe even Friday I'll announce it, or maybe next week. Depends on all the stuff that I have to do because I got sick last week. And forgive me for blowing my nose on camera, but if I don't, I won't be able to speak. And if I can't speak, you won't be able to understand what I'm saying. So lead with tolerance, everyone. Lead with tolerance. Today I wanted to talk about, wait, stop. I'm getting ahead of myself. If you are joining us live for the first time, again, I'm TERRI HARDIN, Pop Icon. Feel free to Google, look at my Wikipedia pages. I've done things like Ghostbusters, Men in Black, etc., so on and so forth. I will be speaking. Okay, let me show you a couple of things that I'm going to be doing in the future, live, if you want to see me live and in person, okay? And then we're going to talk about the subject today, which my husband and I were discussing, Blue-Eyed Samurai. Have you seen this show? Blue-Eyed Samurai, to me, is a very amazing show. I bought it, actually, because I thought it was really, really good. There's another animated show I loved very much, which was previous years my husband turned me on to, called Primal. And I liked Primal because it doesn't use words. It's more visual. And I'm finding that when I watch film and television today, I'm really impressed with animators who are telling a story visually and it's not necessarily all talk. Now, Blue-Eyed Samurai is a lot more involved than that. So it is dialogue driven and it is good. It's got a lot. It's just a beautiful series. And a friend of mine was a character designer on it. And his name is Brian. And I was very excited for him when I found out he was character designing on this show. But we were talking Blue-Eyed Samurai because they just won some Emmys for character design, for their show, lots of yummy things like that. And then there were some huge layoffs of the animators from the show production. I guess they are doing a second season, but as you know, with things the way they are, maybe things didn't go in the line so that they could stay on. Who knows? I don't know the actual thing about it, but it came across my husband's feed and we started to talk about jobs now compared to when I was in the big work space area. So I thought I'd share my insights with you about jobs and stuff. And you may find it interesting. You may find it like she doesn't know what she's talking about. That is your that is that is your privilege, okay? But I welcome you to post in the comments and ask me questions or talk with me or whatever you want to say in the comments about what I may introduce to you today, okay? About jobs. Like, one of the things about jobs is that the minimum wage has gone from when I was a kid, minimum wage meant something to get you started out of college. It was never anything for you. It was never designed for you to live on it. You were usually living with your parents. I'm 67 now. So minimum wage back when I started was $3.50. But I was living with my parents. I was still going to school. My first job was at a photomat store. Do you remember that? The little house in the middle of the parking lot where you could take your film into to be developed. And we gave you an envelope and we talked to you from the little house. I should see if I have a picture of that somewhere. My photomat experience. I also worked at a library. I was 14 years old when I worked at the library. Again, minimum wage. I had to get permission from my parents to work. It was a different world back then. Now, minimum wage for many of you is the way you earn a living. We didn't have Uber or Lyft drivers. We didn't even know what that was. We didn't have iPhones or any kind of computer. So it was different back then. But in some ways, it was very much the same. When I was plummeted into the workforce, it was very similar to today, and I'll talk about that, okay? But before I do, let me tell you a couple of things that are important. All right. First of all, I have pumpkin season is coming up. Outrageous Pumpkins, September 29th is when it drops on various channels, Food Network, Discovery Channel, Max, HBO Max, whatever it's called now. And so you can stream it. You can, if you have a cable station, you can watch through your cable. However you see it, you can see it. And if you have a thing like Max, episode 1 stays up, and then episode 2 comes a week later. Live, it drops like it would on any other thing, each week a new episode. So you got to wait and watch it, right? On the Discovery Channel and Food Network, what they'll do is we follow Halloween Wars, and then but before, on that day, the first episode airs again for Outrageous Pumpkins in week 2. And then the new episode airs on that Sunday, following Sunday, after Halloween Wars in its usual time slot. Am I making sense or not? If not, ask me in the comments and I'll clarify it, all right? But it repeats. So you can watch 1 and then 1, I think 1 and 2 air, and then you can watch 3 and 3, 4 as it gets closer and closer. By the time you get to Halloween, they will run all the shows. You just have to look at the lineup, which you can find when you go to foodnetwork.com or Discovery, the Discovery Channel's website, or you can go on Max and they'll be there. I think Discovery Channel, they're there too already. I think they are. I haven't looked lately because I have to be honest with you. I've been watching them on Max. I like watching them on the Discovery Channel. They're there, but I don't remember if they're all there during airing, because I watch them when they come out. Like everybody, I like to watch them when they come out. I play a judge on this, is what I'm trying to say to you, that I have been not saying to you. I've been a judge since 2005. It has gone through some changes, and then we had these beautiful 5 seasons, as I started to tell you. So Outrageous Pumpkins is a show that is a competition show that is loved by so many of you out there, and I want you to know that I do too. And one of the things I love about the show is that what you see is pretty much what you're getting. There's so much footage. We wish that we could show you a lot more footage, but the reality of it is that these pumpkin carvers, if we say they get 8 hours to carve, they get 8 hours to carve. If we say 3 hours, they do it in 3 hours. We don't shorten it. We don't lengthen it. We shorten what you see maybe to show you peeks at their progress, but understand that they are doing the carving themselves. They get no assistance unless it is a perk. They do it themselves. It's a lot like Project Runway in that they want to do it themselves. Okay, these carvers are really good at what they do, and they don't want help from someone who might not understand the situation when it comes to carving pumpkins. For example, if you've watched the show before, Outrageous Pumpkins, and I hope you will tune in on September 29th and see this if you haven't seen it. One of the perks, if you have to do a challenge, let's say the challenge is carve 10 pumpkins in 3 hours, for example, and you win a lightning round, which we have lightning rounds, we have mini challenges. It always is a little different, but always entertaining and fun. And every season is a little bit cool. They're cool. Each season from 1 through 4, 5 is coming up. Yeah. 1 through 4 has that makes it special. So everyone is very special. Every season is special. This year, it's going to blow the doors off of all 4 other seasons. So be sure to watch it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil it for you. But if I get back to 15 pumpkins or 10 pumpkins in 3 hours, okay, that can be a bit crazy depending on the challenge. So one of the perks, if there's a little, might be gutting, that you get your pumpkins pre-gutted. The busy, dirty work, the opening of the pumpkin and the scraping up out of the guts and the taking out of the seeds. That is the gutting of the pumpkin. I think we all know that. We've made a pumpkin, correct? But here's why it's not always a plus for the carver. And they will tell you this. They will tell you that's a 50-50 cool thing. Having tin pumpkins pre-gutted and giving you that jump on your design is choice. But if the pumpkin gutter isn't a professional carver themselves and they take too much flesh away from the inside, this can be a challenge for you. I'll say challenge as the carver, because the flesh is what's important for many pumpkin carvers in Outrageous Pumpkins competition. And they pick pumpkins based on the thickness of the wall. It's not like many of you who go to a nearby pumpkin patch market, you look at that classic little pumpkin and you go, ooh, yummy. And you cut circles out of it and you put a light inside and bingo bango, you're done. Now, I'm not accusing you of this is what you're doing, but I'm saying the classic jack-o'-lantern is the way most people think of pumpkins, yes? So on Outrageous Pumpkins, it's a different caliber of carver. And I'm going to show you just for fun. Well, before I do that, I'm going to show you my pumpkin tool set that I offer at my store. It is a pumpkin DVD along with a set of tools that I've chosen if you want to carve like the carvers on Outrageous Pumpkins. That's just a quick shot of it because I know where it is. Sometimes on my iPad, I can get lost in photos. It's never happened to you on your phone, I'm sure. So this is the deal. But I'm going to show you just a couple of pumpkins, and that way you can see, and I will show you, I could show you my students, but because my thing is I teach it. I don't really strive to be a better pumpkin carver myself. My goal is to teach you how to do it. Okay, so I have classes throughout October and demonstrations throughout October, which I will be telling you as we get a little closer to October, okay? But let me just show you a few that I do. And one of the things about Outrageous Pumpkins is you'll notice that I co-judge. If you've seen the show before, I co-judge with other judges and then the host, Damaris. And some of the pumpkin carvers and hosts that I've been with in the past, including the one that many pumpkin carvers have learned from and loved because he's such a good carver, is Ray Villafane. And Ray judged the first 2 or 3 seasons with me. At this point, I think it was 2 seasons he did, season 1 and 2 with me. He also did some earlier ones with me. And he's an incredible carver, one of the ones I told you that carved for the White House. So he's a big deal. He does some really beautiful stuff. He gets together with other pumpkin carvers from around the world, and his stuff is not to be missed. Google him. He does great work. But one of the things he teased me about was that I like to light mine. He doesn't light his pumpkins. I like to put a light in mine, making them a cross between sculpted and jack-o'-lantern. It's just what I like to do. The reason is because it dazzles people when they see their work. Okay. So for example, I'm going to show you this lady here that I did. This pumpkin is about the size of a classic jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. And this is the kind of thing I teach. I don't teach you to make a face like this. You can make whatever you want. In my class, I'm going to tell you more about the class as we get closer, but I'm going to touch on this just quickly because this is how I became a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins. This is her lit. See how beautiful she is lit? So I worked that's my thing, is to have the pumpkins lit. So if I could show you one more, but unfortunately the order is weird on my page here. I did one that I didn't light. I call him Gary. So I'll introduce you to Gary. This, I'm going to be honest with you, I learned from being a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins. I met some of the competitors and they taught me about radishes. And they taught me how you could make really scary eyes with radishes. So I tried it. And one of the things that they said that was great was to make bloody veins by leaving some of the radish on. And then you use a tube and you can make the pupil, what I did here. It's not perfect. It's a pumpkin, doesn't matter in the dark. But this is why I keep my imperfections out for you to see so that you will experiment with what you do. Okay. So as a teacher, this is what I'm trying to do, is to show you that you can do it too. And once you find that you can carve like this or create pumpkins in this fashion, it's life-changing for you a lot of times. I won't say for all of you it's life-changing, but for many of you it is. And it's very exciting. And so that's why I do it. So I'm going to show you a couple of shots from the show so you can see it. This is one that I took. What they do is they, you may, if you've seen the show before, you know, and this is a past season. I'm not going to show you the new season. That would be mean. I'm not going to be mean and spoil it for you. But here is we do it outside. Here is the crew standing. This is probably 2020 because we're all masked up. And they built this black tent for us so that they can dramatically light it like they do on the show, so that as judges we can properly judge it, and not, when we judge it and all in the light and then they these beauty shots, we were like, wow, it looks so different. We want to be as good as we can for every contestant and as best educated as we can for the contestants. Okay. So anyway, Outrageous Pumpkins, September 29th. I hope you will check it out. I hope you will enjoy seeing it. But that is one of the things that I do, is as a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins. Yay. What else did I want to say to you? I've already gone 22 minutes on Outrageous Pumpkins. I'm sorry. All right. So the subject, you're probably sitting there saying, what about this job, subject, job thing? All right. I will tell you that. I will tell you that now. I am semi-retired, which means that, what artist really does retire fully? I still sculpt. I still handpick, sort of cherry pick projects that I want to do. I do a lot of prototypes, one of a kinds. I do a lot of pieces for people, special orders, things like that. I also paint. Right now I'm working on a chess set for Disney legend Rolly Crump. Rolly and I worked together pretty much up until the day he passed away. But while we were working together, we designed this amazing chess set. And I am working to get all the pieces done sometime in October. Fingers crossed. There's a lot for me to do. And my dad's anniversary of when he passed away last year is coming up, and I'm finding him a little weird. So it's all working around what elements are affecting you as a creative entity in your life. Is that correct? You are, as a creative person, whatever you're doing creatively can be affected by your environment around you. Like this heat, for example. In Southern California, we are hitting triple digits in areas that I just can't imagine what it's like to work in certain conditions. So in my heyday, which was the 80s and the 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, I did movies like Ghostbusters, Men in Black 1 and 2, Country Bears, Jungle to Jungle. I worked as a Muppeteer on Dinosaurs, the TV show, for almost 5 years, so on and so forth. And forgive me, nose is clogging up again. I'm going to sound like, who do I sound like? A little bit like Peppermint Patty, maybe. Hiya, Chuck. Anyway, I'm digressing. Back in those days, we were kind of vagabonds of the industry. We would go from job to job to job to job. Honestly, we didn't necessarily feel comfortable all the time being an employee. I was an Imagineer for 10 years in-house from 1987 to 1997. I was a Walt Disney Imagineer at 1401 Flower Street, which is Imagineering. Okay? So being in there, working in there was so much fun. I had a great time. I ended up designing Dragon's Lair Paris, which I fought for, and I was able to do Big Thunder Mountain. I was able to do Splash Mountain Tokyo. I designed these rides with a team of people. It wasn't just me. Well, Dragon's Lair was pretty much me, but that shifted and moved and changed and altered. It takes a village. It was great. As Tony Baxter once said to me, the best time to be an Imagineer was when you were an Imagineer, Terry. And he was senior vice president, and Marty Sklar was president of Imagineering. And it was just a happy, fun, super cool place to work with the creme de la creme in the art world. A lot. But I also worked for Henson. I also worked for the animation building of Disney. And that became a little dicey as an Imagineer, because when there are facets to a diamond, sometimes in the corporate world, they can get it mucked up. That's the only way I can say it, because I don't understand as an artist how they can do it. Just load the artist over to Disney Pictures, or load your, if your Imagineer has ideas and concepts for the bigger version of Imagineering. We may be doing the models and the little bit, but if you need us to go over and help you with the big stuff, just put us over there. But it seemed to be a little more challenging for them to do that with women than men when you were in the division that I was in, which is lath, plaster, the dirty stuff. I wasn't doing fabric. I wasn't doing figure finishing. I wasn't putting feather on birds or designing that or designing costumes. I was doing the schlepping of the lath and the toting of the plaster, in the beginning, carving in foam. So floral foam. So this was something that I had learned in the film industry. But what I'm pointing out is I spoke about animation and how many animators were very sad because after Samurai, it wins these awards, and then a lot of animators are laid off, and they were heartbroken that they were laid off and not kept on. And they were saying, many were kind of saying that in today's world, this seems to be the norm. They kind of feel like they would like to be held on for the next project. But if there isn't a next project, does a company feel they need to keep you? And the answer is no, they don't. Even Walt Disney Imagineering is different in certain respects. They keep some people, but they don't keep all, because they found out that the contract person, and I don't really want to say contract person because contract can mean a different thing, but on a job by job basis, better known as a work for hire. Okay. Back in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, when I was doing Ghostbusters, I also worked on 1984 Dune with David Lynch, which was really fun. But I was hired for that project, meaning that when I was hired by Universal and by Columbia or whoever, when I was doing the project of Dune, I was building the still suits for Dune. Not just me, a team. When I say I mean we. Okay, there was about 10 of us, maybe 12 of us building the still suits for Kyle MacLachlan and the entire cast. I'm not going to go into the building too much. If you want to, I can go later. But right now, let me just say that they pulled me on when the project was official. I went in with my portfolio. They looked at my portfolio. They said, look, it's going to start up in a week or two. It actually took more than a week or two to start up. Once it started up, they brought me in. They told me what I was going to do. They started me in body casting. So I did body casting people. And then they had me go over to building the still suits. Okay. And I was with a team of people. We all built the still suits headed by Mark. I don't think it was Mark Stetson. It was Mark. Oh, Mark, I'm sorry. He's now up at the Disney Museum. Forgive me, Mark. It's the head full of, I'm going to say it's because of my getting over this cold. But anyway, he headed it. And then we had people like Bill Bryant, who is very clever at doing all kinds of great art. You may remember him as he was the man in the suit of the Marshmallow Man. And I did puppeteering for the face of the Marshmallow Man, along with 3 other puppeteers. Okay. So it was 4 of us making the face come to life. And we built it too. We built these Marshmallow Man suits too. And then I also played the terror dog Sigourney Weaver turns into. I was a puppeteer in that. But getting back to Dune, when we were on Dune, we did what was needed, casted the actors, got body casted the actors, sculpted the suits. I'm trying to think, it might have lasted, out of the top of my head, maybe 6-8 months. And then as we saw it waning in the future, as we saw things starting to space out and taper off, we began as a group to discuss what else was out there that we could go to. So consider us little bees buzzing about flowers when this flower was, done, took care of it, everything looks good. We buzzed over to another flower. We were work for hire. We had no pension. We had no health care. We had none of that. But what we did have is the jobs changing and shifting on a regular basis. We did get unemployment. And a lot of times unemployment was a great way for us to sustain ourselves somewhat while we looked for the next job and the next job and the next job. For many of us, like myself, I loved living this way. I found that being an employee was a little bit, could be constrictive at times. I would get tired at times. Now, I have to say, I never got tired of Imagineering. I loved it and wanted to stay. But Imagineering had other plans because as they began to wane, and I was an employee, they started to look for things because I was an employee and it's different. When you're an independent contractor, you can come and go as you please. Okay, let me point that out. When you're an independent contractor or you are a work for hire, you can come and go as you please. So this is your benefit when you're doing jobs like this. So if you're an animator on a project, this is one of the things I noticed when I was reading about Blue-Eyed Samurai, among other animation houses. The biggest challenge among animators now, as I'm told by my friend Brian and many animators who are in the business and really are some of the creme de la creme of animators, is that the challenge is to be an animator today. A lot of the stuff is going overseas. Things like in-betweening and things like that is not staying in the United States. It's going overseas. That's the ouch, guys. That's the real ouch, because if you wanted to be a work for hire here, it's not necessarily as simple as it was in the days that I was doing what I was doing. And this is because corporations have found they can get more done overseas for less money. And is it great? I'm not going to tell you it's great or it's not great. I'm just going to tell that this is the awareness with the way the internet works nowadays, with the way so many things work nowadays. They can zip things around. They can get on a Zoom call and talk with China or talk with Taiwan or talk with India. I had another fellow I used to do prototyping for Mattel in clay. I used to actually sculpt for the Mattel Corporation little figures of sculptures of figures. I used to do these little clay figures, which I still do today, but I do it for my company. Okay. But I'm being told by many people who are now working for Mattel or have Mattel as a client, along with Applause or Disney or whoever, that they're doing it digitally, that they are using digitally sculpting programs, and therefore they can work from home, they can work from India, they can work from another country, and simply send the their sculpture, the wireframes or whatever the word is. Forgive me, I don't do this, but you could send that from anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world. So my friend Eric was telling me that he used to do 3D printing for many of the companies like Disney, Mattel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that now you can get a 3D printed figure of some of your work i.e. if you're Mattel and it's your intellectual property, for pennies on the dollar. Like they will do a 3D print for you for, 50 cents instead of what was something that helped to make a living even a few years ago. So technology is really moving. And so you as the animator are still needed. Oh, yes, you're needed. But you may not have that catbird situation where you are retained at a job as an employee. So when many of you feel kind of angry because you've been let go, I know how you feel and I understand how you feel. But I'm going to say to you, don't get angry. Think creatively about how you could create a bed of feathers for yourself so you're not in a situation where you could be starving. Especially last year when so many things were going on strike. Actors went on strike for a very, very long time. And many actors and many performers and many restaurants and things around actors, everyone suffered. We all suffered. As an actor, walked the picket line, and did our best to let people know the importance of actors. One of the major things you may remember with the actors that we were fighting for is this AI replication of our voices and our images. If we don't fight for that, if we didn't fight for it then and continue to fight for it, it happens so quickly that it's going to be hard for us to fight for it later. I mean, look at a couple of actors who have already had battles with people taking their voices for AI. Scarlett Johansson is a perfect example, who apparently they asked her to teach AI her voice or something. Again, I am giving you the cliff notes because I'm an artist and I don't necessarily focus on this stuff as much as maybe I should. But here is a beautiful, sultry voice. If you've ever seen the movie Her, she plays the AI person, the AI companion in this movie. And so they replicated her voice and they called it Her, inferring, this company did, okay, inferring it was Scarlett who actually gave permission, but she didn't. And this is exactly why actors and performers and you should be careful, because once they're able to replicate your voice, this can be a problem on so many levels. It can be a Pandora's box. So we have to be careful. We have to protect our identities and our own intellectual property, right? So it just keeps growing and just keeps going. And so you as an animator, if you are finding your jobs are being taken because it's going overseas, you could get angry about it. You have every right to be angry about it and upset about it. I lose it. I'm going to be honest with you. I lose it every time I lose it every time I see people create art with AI. Because they'll say, look what I made with my AI test program beta thing. They'll come over and they'll show me this art. And I'm going, where is it coming from? Well, we all know it's coming from other artists that are found on the internet. You simply type something in, Dragon with a helmet, and AI pulls this thing and creates art. Dragons and helmets, for example. But where are they getting it? And where are they combining it from? They're getting it from us as artists who did it originally. Okay? They're getting it from us. And that makes me crazy because they all, people always, especially Warner Brothers and these movie houses, if you show too much of a clip on YouTube, our intellectual property, close, off, out. Am I wrong? So why is it not you as a human being, as a personal artist, you have to protect your art too? Photographers are finding that many of them are going to live galleries and not necessarily showing their stuff as much as they did on Instagram or Facebook, because the AI goes out and pulls from their photos to create whatever it's doing when someone types it in. And this just isn't right. Okay. This is not Everyone is telling you do not take other intellectual property, and yet AI is doing it. And people who, yeah, many artists will say people who aren't creative are now creating with their art, and they're like, "Ugh." Nobody likes what they have worked hard, their blood, sweat, and tears to create, to be stolen. And AI right now is stealing it, guys. I don't know any other way to look at it. If you disagree, post in the comments. I'm more than happy to listen to what you have to say. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's stealing. Okay. And if you're going to borrow, let's be kinder. Let's not say stealing, borrowing to create your art. They're borrowing. We all borrow. We all are influenced and we borrow. Okay. We understand that. I mean, I love biblical stories, so I'm often wanting to recreate old masters' biblical works. I want to do it. I don't want it to look like what they do. Like I love Rembrandt and I love Michelangelo, and I often would duplicate their stuff to learn what muscles are used to get the effects that they create back in the day. But I never claim it as my own art. I'll say, look, this is what I'm constantly right now as a painter looking for my own voice. And it's not an easy thing to do, is your own voice when you're painting, because there's so many realistic painters out there. And as a sculptor, I'm really about realistic and real. I mean, I'm a detail person when it comes to sculpture. I've been a sculptor since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And so I'm always striving for it to look. But when I started to pull away from Disney as an independent contractor, I still do Disney sculptures, don't get me wrong. But when I do, I interpret them in my way. I celebrate them in my way, okay? They are still Disney's intellectual properties, but they're my interpretations of it. So there's those fine lines that you can do. I don't necessarily exactly copy, but I do create. And Disney has every right to take a look and to go, ooh, we like that. Let's take that and now distribute it ourselves because it's our intellectual property. That's their right. It's their stuff. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, but as I veer from that and create my own work, I want my work to have its same kind of look, same kind of label, same kind of feeling. So on some of my commissions, and I'm trying to find the one that I would love to show you, but I don't. Yes, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Here is a commission I did years ago. This is a photo. I did not paint it. It is an old master photo called In the Arms of the Father. It is a favorite photo of mine, a painting of mine, because you see Mary resting while Joseph is holding the baby Jesus. I've always thought that Joseph doesn't get enough airtime when it comes to being, the father of Jesus. Now we know Jesus is from God the Father, but Joseph kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and he's a really great open-minded guy. I think in the beginning he had a little trouble realizing that God came down and blessed Mary with his son Jesus. Let's not get into all of that, but the point is that I love that this particular painting celebrates Joseph and Jesus. I like that. I love that. And so did someone who asked me to do a nativity based on these two characters. So if we flip over here, you will see that I have done just that. Here is Mary. I work in wax, a toy wax. Thank you, Mattel, for teaching me wax. This is not Mattel wax. This is a wax that I get from my friend, Phil Hauser, and another brilliant sculptor. He makes this wax, and I'm so happy to have it to work in. It's nice and solid. It's beautiful, but you can see that painted. There's Mary resting. And then you see Joseph over here, and Joseph is holding the baby Jesus. So there you go. So I did these so that I sculpted these, and here I am actually sculpting one of the pieces. And I use a waxer, etc. Someone in the arms of the Father, but you see, it's 2007, the nativity. So it's been a little while ago. But I love doing this. They are 1 inch to the foot so that they can fit in any nativity. But you can see how detailed they are. I mean, you've got folds and you've got patterns, and you've got all this basically insane stuff, right? I mean, it's pretty nuts. So when I painted, I wanted to be a little bit looser and freer, and I'm still working on that. Artists out there, I think your art coming from your hands and your fingers and not digitally will always be something that people want to have. As it possibly becomes more rare, it will become more coveted, in my opinion. People will want something that you do with your hands, not your stylus. But there's nothing wrong with being a digital artist. There's nothing wrong with it. In today's world, I would imagine you better be a digital artist. I don't know that someone would come to me like a Mattel or a Disney and have me sculpt in solid form that which other people do digitally. It's just, it's something I don't do. As an old dog, I didn't have to. I'm really good at doing it in clay. Now, what's wonderful about doing it in clay is that many artists who are digital artists, and I'm not saying all of you, but I've come across many of you that want to know, what's it like to sculpt in clay? You've never sculpted in clay. You don't know how to do it. It's as alien to you as digital stylus is to me. And I'm not saying that I don't do things digitally. One of the things I love about digital art is that I can do my concepts in Procreate, and Fresco from Adobe. I can draw as fast as I can think, or even faster, because of a thing called layers. So I can tap layers and my concepts will just, I can kind of work in that, touch that part in my brain where I'm working really fast, tap, change a layer, create, fast, in the drawing stage, two-dimensionally on a piece of paper digitally. I created my Disneyland pin digitally and was able to send it to the pin guy. Okay, so here is my Disneyland pin that I'm showing you. It's not a really easy picture to see, but this is being offered now for Disney's 69th birthday, and we designed it in my tribe, Terry's Tribe, which is my Patreon page, and we all designed it together because we wanted people who went to the birthday party this year at Disneyland to have a pin. We wanted them to have a pin to have. And we didn't sell it there. We would never do that to Disneyland, but I did offer it through my channels and through my Instagram page, and I'll keep doing it because all year I'll be doing that. So if you want a pin made by me, designed by me, to celebrate Disneyland's 69th, there you go. And I think, honestly, Disneyland took a look at that and they said, well, doggone it, we should have a pin. And they came up with this pin. So here's a pin that celebrates the 69th birthday. And I think originally Disneyland felt, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they felt like 69 wasn't a year that they should necessarily go all out for because they're working on the 70th. That's their prerogative. But if you're a Disney fan, you know that every single year is special. And if you're 67 like me, I'm telling you, every year on Earth is special. There isn't a year I don't celebrate doing time on planet Earth, okay? Each year is a new year of discovery and excitement. So I am telling you, no year is an insignificant year, okay? I get very sad when someone says it's not that big of a birthday. It's 67 years old. It's 52. It's 41. It's 35, or it's 32 or something. Every year is special. Every single year is special. Trust me, analyze how much you have changed from year to year as a human being. I keep thinking that I should do a book on my iconic years, like what I was like at 10 versus what I was like at 20 versus what I was like at 30 versus what I was like at 40. So 10 years old, I was already making a living as a young artist. Seriously, I was. And I was painting Easter eggs and my mother was selling them for $20 a piece. And at 8 years old, I made $400. So don't pick up that starving artist book. You can do this. If you're an animator in today's world, this is what I was going to tell you. If you're an animator and you've been working for someone and you want to work for someone, yes, you want to work for the big icons. I get that. But there's nothing to keep you from doing your own work, is there? There's nothing to keep you from animating, right? In the days of TERRI, there was no internet. There was no platform for you to do your magic. But now we have so many platforms for you to show your creativity. Show your creativity. Get together with others. If you're off and you're trying to find work and but you're depressed because you're not doing that which you love, hey, there's nothing to keep you from doing that which you love, right? You get with your friends, do a little animated short, put it up on the web, the internet, whatever they call it now. They called it the web then. Now they call it the internet. Now they call it TikTok, YouTube, whatever. The point is that you have the power to get together with your friends and create something by just doing it. And so I encourage you to do that. Yes, you can be angry that they should have kept you. I'm not judging you by that. Please understand that. But know that you can draw a line in the sand, get out that animator's table, and do your magic, whether you're doing it on computer or you're doing it with drawings. Okay? You can do it. I know because I've done it. I've done like a touch of stop motion because I'm not an animator of that sort. I'm a puppeteer. But I'm working on a puppet show right now. Why? Because I can. Do I want to wait for Henson's to hire me and pitch it to Henson's? Not really. I love being a Muppeteer, and I am at your service, Henson's, if you need me. But if you don't need me, it's okay. I'm not hurt. I had great years with the Henson Company. And if they don't need my services in the future, the choice is theirs. It's their company, right? But as TERRI Hardin and people I know, work with, and love from my experiences that Henson allowed me to have, including several years with Jim Henson, then I can call them up and say, let's get together, yeah, and make something, create something together. Nothing is cuffing you from doing it as long as you don't, recreate. I mean, in some cases you can recreate. I mean, you've seen these people who have recreated these Star Wars sagas on YouTube, and they're better than what they're putting out in the movies for millions and millions and millions more. Am I wrong or am I right? So this is what I say to you today. Yes, it's a drag that so many people are doing work for hires. But I will tell you that it's not only happening in the creative industry. There are many industries today that do this 1099 / hire you for job duration and then bye-bye. But what they're not really prepared for, and I saw this in my husband's line of work. He is now retired, and I am thrilled that he is, because he gets to exercise his creativity in other ways and relax. And I love that he gets to do this. This makes me beyond compare happy. And a lot of the things we do together, which is a dream come true for me as his wife. We are two extremely creative people. And I love just saying, what can we do? How can we do it? How do we do it? And he is responsible for my system when I cut to my iPad or I cut to a different angle like this one, just for fun. Hey, how's it going? This is all my husband. He has set this up so that I can do it, because I'm an artist. I don't like to think a lot. It's too hard. I would rather be sculpting and painting. I can create something out of nothing. But when it comes to technology, oh my goodness. Did I mention I'm 67 and for most of the time I talk to people face to face, and my phones were murder weapons, not this flimsy thing that is a whole computer in my hand that people stare at rather than talk to me at my face, right? Oh, but that is a 67-year-old talking to you. Okay? I get that some of you may have communication problems because you're used to doing it on your phone. I tend to want my phone to be over there, away, and silent, please. But that comes from my history as a human being. I'm 67. But I am a fast learner, which is why I have been broadcasting for over 5 years. And during the pandemic, I talked for hours at a time to help people cope with not going to Disneyland. True story. So this is what I'm saying to you. Create a bed of feathers for yourself so that the next time you get that animation job and you work on that animation job, you might be at night doing something of your own, or you might be collaborating with your friends and saying, what else is out there? It might not be as easy as it was for me. I don't know. I'm not in that world anymore. I have my own company. I'm doing my own thing, many of my own things. And then if you see something you want to do, ask. You simply ask. How did I become a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins? I told them they needed a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins. That was me. And then they had me send a videotape, a video of me, 2 minutes of me explaining why I should be a judge on the show. And my husband filmed it. We sent it off and they said, man, you are opinionated. And I am. But I love my carvers. I love the pumpkin carvers. I mean, think of it. If you're competing for $25,000, think of yourself, whatever it is you're doing. You're competing for $25,000. The judges come and they talk to you. Would you rather have a judge that blows smoke up your butt? And I'm not saying they do. Nobody does. But what the producers will tell you is you can't say all good stuff. I'm going to tell you truthfully, sometimes it's hard to find some stuff that is not great because these guys are so good. But you have to say something constructive as a judge. It is your job. So it may not be easy, but you got to do it. And the reason you do it is so that they have something to work on when they go to the next level, because they want the money and they want the belt. Many of the carvers that come to us want that bragging right. The best, the ultimate, outrageous pumpkin carver extraordinaire, etc., etc. They want that weight belt. The money is really wonderful, but the belt is what a lot of them want. And this is what's so cool. So you have to put yourself in their position as a judge, and you have to tell them with love and directness. This is why some people call me the Simon Cowell, because I don't watch Simon a lot, but I'd like to think that Simon did it. Maybe he was a bit sharp when he did it. Maybe his face was like all scrunchy and made people sad. So I don't do that. And sometimes I get emotional on the show because I really love these people. This is a problem. I really love the work. I love the way they carve. I love the ingenuity that they come up with. I love the show. I mean, I love being a part of the show. You got to understand that for real. And each person is very special to me. I want every single one to win, or at least if they have to be eliminated, they've given everything they've had up to that point. Because choosing between 5 greats isn't easy. 5 people who bring stuff you've never seen before. I remember, I think it was season 2, a woman did this great terrarium kind of thing inside of a pumpkin. I was just, another season, a guy sculpted Ryan. You guys maybe remember Ryan. What season was Ryan? Season, oh my God, basically. Where a chainsaw was his best friend. Power tools. He was the power tool king. And the guy would just, some of the things, and it's not just him, but because we were used to the carving tools, we were used to the carving tools, these tools here, or knives, or scrapers, but he would, with a chainsaw, and dig it and just come. I'll tell you, some of the abilities, and everyone brings something new and unique. Each contestant is new and unique. And if you listen to the judges, yes, I'm a Disney Imagineer, but I'm also a pumpkin sculptor who teaches. And I demo too. I do demonstrations also. I don't, I walk the walk. I just don't go out and do this major stuff at places like the Bronx Zoo or in front of the President of the United States or something like that, because I want you to experience that. I have a lot of hats and I like to teach. This is the thing I like to do. I like to help people get better. And I feel the same way with the contestants on the Outrageous Pumpkin Show. So if we bring this back around to wrap this all up for you and to just bring this around so that we can button it up for you, if you're out there and you're getting frustrated because as a work for hire, you're not getting the security you need, start to create your own. A wise man once said, when I became a contractor for Walt Disney Imagineering, and after my 10th year, I came back as an independent, as a work for hire, as a contract player. They promised me 9 months of work, and I ended up working for more than that when I came back. And I was creating the little rabbit from First Splash Mountain, Tokyo. I was working on, I think I was working on the boat as well for Splash Mountain, Tokyo. But let me just pop that so you can kind of have a little visual here, just for fun. You want to see that just for fun? Here's the rabbit, the little rabbit. Okay, here's the little rabbit. I was an independent contractor at the time. I was actually brought in to do the actual Splash Mountain, Tokyo, but this is the little rabbit because my goal, my mission was to get into the sculpture department. And right now I was in what you call the model shop / rockwork division. Yeah. Let's see if we go this way. Here it is actually in Florida. And if we go the other way, what we got here is the concept. So I told you I worked in Florofoam, where I got together with an amazing Imagineer named Don Carson. This is, you collaborate with the other artists. This is what Imagineering is so good at. It's collaboration. All right. So as an independent contractor, I knew a lot of artists, love a lot of artists. We collaborated on this piece. Don Carson came to me and asked me if I would carve a foam rabbit for Tokyo Disneyland and Walt Disney World Disneyland Splash Boat because it was a double log. And he wanted a quick carving speed to make this out of fluorofoam. Well, I'm a very fast carver. I did this in about an hour or so. Didn't take long. As long as you don't have too many people, changing it while you're doing it. But the point is, if you look at this rabbit, I did this, but I said to Don, when this project goes through, I want to be the person to sculpt the clay. And he said, fair enough. And the next thing you know, I'm in the sculpture department. And that's where I wanted to be originally. So you kind of got to learn to look at the future. If you're not already doing that, animators or anybody, it's not just animators, but if you are someone who's finding that your job security is coming work for hire, because honestly, guys, that's what it is. It's kind of a giant tip service. I don't know too many people that get employee status with all that implies as easily as it was before. I'm not saying it's hard, but I'm saying it's more challenging, isn't it? I mean, say in the comments if it's not. But this is what you do. Well, I helped Don Carson because I was brought in as an independent contractor again. Let me see if I can find the picture. I thought I had it under Imagineering. I promise I will fix that. But let's look here, and forgive me for looking away for a minute, because I want to see if I can find my picture. There it is. Here I am. Here I am doing Splash Big Thunder Mountain. This is my first Big Thunder Mountain project. This is the first project I did as an Imagineer. Okay. I am designing the arch that you see in Paris. This is the one where you board on the mainland and then you come up on an island. It is the best Big Thunder. And then later I did Dragon's Lair. We're not going to go into all of that, because the thing I want to show you, the thing I want to point out to you is that Splash Mountain Tokyo, which I don't know if I have it here. I'm looking, I'm praying, I'm looking, I'm praying. Oh, yes. Well, I've got Big Thunder Paris. I'm just trying to see if I have Splash Mountain Tokyo. I know I have a picture, but it's kind of like all over the place because Terry's a little all over the place. I apologize that Terry's a little all over the place. But anyway, I did Splash Mountain Tokyo. I don't see it here. I wish I did, but I don't see my picture here. I'm going to look a little bit more. If I can't find it, I'll just explain it to you, because I'd love to explain it to you. but I don't see it here. Oh, well. maybe by Friday I'll be able to show it to you. But Splash Tokyo was brought in to do the Splash Tokyo ride attraction. My friend Anne, forgive me, brought me in when they were 3 weeks behind. And she knew I was a super fast carver in foam. So she brought me in to carve the biggest Splash Mountain in the history of Splash Mountain in Japan. And I didn't go to Japan to carve it. I went to Imagineering's model shop. And I walked in, and after crazy stuff, which I won't explain now, after crazy stuff, I went with Anne. She told me they needed to catch up in 3 weeks. So I came early at 6 o'clock in the morning, blocked out an area I was qualified to block out, and then just started carving. By the time 8 o'clock came and most of the Imagineers came, they saw this insane woman doing key eyes as she carved up the Splash Mountain, and people were and turned and said, "We'll be caught up in a week." It's just because I worked in the film industry, and in the film industry, when you carve in that foam that I showed you, the rabbit was done out of, you have to have your work done. Usually, the deadline is the day before you were hired. You're like, what is it? I mean, movies, it's always, yeah, yesterday was when we were due. So could you hustle it up, please? Time is always tight. So I became faster and faster in the foam carving world. I just sort of fell into this. Disney deemed me at Imagineering as the foam queen because I could carve mountains of the stuff, like a machine. And so for Splash Mountain, Don Carson, amazing Imagineer, illustrator, very talented person. And his wife came to work with us on Team Splash Mountain Tokyo. Now, here's a woman who paints like I've never seen before. She's an amazing painter. But they had her painting strips of paper, different green hues. So different green values, light green, dark green, medium green, to represent leaves inside the interior of Splash Mountain to how they had it when you rode through there. You may remember they had this stuff hanging in. And the poor woman was going insane, bless her heart. She was such a sweetheart. And the two of us got to talking because she's Don Carson's wife. And we got to chatting. And I said, well, you know what? Hang in there. Because sometimes you got to do some jobs you don't like to get to the job that you do like. Sometimes you have to do jobs you don't like to get to the job you do like. Always keep your eyes open for the job you do like. And then ask. Okay? All right. And then I'm going to end this. I'm not going to stay much longer. Okay? So you guys don't have to hear me lecture you forever. I hope it is inspiring. In fact, Brian says it's very inspiring. I'm going to put you up there, Brian. Thank you. Brian says, very inspiring. I love you for that. Here, John Chester says creatives are supportive to others. They need to be, okay? Employment status is hard in most areas these days. This is what I'm talking about. Employment. But you are a creative. I don't want to say get on it, but get on it. John Chester, who just did this comment, is brilliant when it comes to musical therapy. I've always said it. I've known him. I've said, pull up a website and start to market. But with artists, marketing can be challenging. It can be challenging, but you got to start somewhere. Just start doing a podcast like me. There is a very well-known story amongst my friends and my followers of the first time about 5 years ago, I did my first Facebook broadcast. It's legendary, guys. It's legendary. It just simply proves that y'all can do it. Okay. My husband is about shooting this way, not this way. This annoys him. This makes him crazy because he's a filmmaker. You do it this way. Why? Because your eyes go this way, not this way. Okay? So when you're seeing a parade and you film it this way, you are cutting off most of your picture. Do it this way. I understand you have your TikToks. I understand you have your Instagrams. But this is the way you film a parade. Okay? And that's why YouTube still does it this way. Okay. Now, this is not to chide you for shooting it this way. This is just something that I learned. But I was told by Tim Gillette, another mentor of mine, he was helping me with social media because I knew nothing. I didn't know how to go live. I could barely get into Facebook. I sort of tripped. TikTok, I have several hundred followers, but I never go there because I can't get the music off of the reel. If I want to do a reel, they put this music that they choose and it drives me crazy and I hate it and I don't know how to get it off. So I don't do TikTok. People talk to me there and I try to go there to answer them, but I don't post because it drives me insane. I see you all can do it, but I don't know that I have the patience. So I stick with Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I mean, that's a lot for me because I also like to sculpt and paint and, create. I'm just giving you a rant so that if this is you ranting right now, you still am doing it. I'm still doing it. Okay. And the reason I'm still doing it is because I think that if you have a talent and you just get on social media and you do it consistently, okay, if you do it once a week, because that's all you can handle. And that's the way I started. I'm going to be honest with you. And then I found Patreon, which is a page where you can have people come and join. I've told you about it, patreon.com/Terri Hardin. Let's pop over into the banners and let me show it to you for $5 a month. You can talk to me live. I do a live Zoom once a week when I'm not sick. Last week they didn't get it. So this week we're going to do it on Wednesday morning. But I do it and then I broadcast to you personally on the Patreon page every morning before I come here and talk to you live. Okay. And they get other perks too. But the thing I think you need to remember is you got to be you. I listen to the YouTube, how to do these YouTubes and how to get more viewers and all this kind of stuff. But the reality of it is you got to be you. And I'm not into massive amounts of viewers. I think for me, personally, too much pressure. Seriously, I would like to get to 1,000 because I'd like to see what that means in the YouTube world. Okay. But it's not going to kill me if I don't, because the people I have following me, I hope will follow me at some point on this channel. It's free and it inspires me when you follow me. But the point is that you stay. And I'm so grateful when you do. You stay, you tune in. If it's 2 people, if it's 4 people, if it's, I don't care how many people it is. People are going to watch it later, watch it. I just want you to hear what I feel is important for you to understand. So patreon.com, $5 a month. You get lots of cool stuff, mainly my time. And we each put skin in the game and it's wonderful. It's month to month, so you don't have to commit. Try it for a month. If you like it, great. If you don't, go with God. It's okay. We're not going to, give you bad vibrations and hate on you or any of that stuff that people seem to do on social media. No, we don't do that. But your voice needs to be heard because you can help others. On my Patreon page, it's a community of like-minded people who help each other to get with whatever they need. Sometimes, there's a challenge in your life and you want to privately discuss it without being judged. You can do it on our Facebook page and the Patreon page with me and on Zoom because we don't record the Zooms. We record the Zooms sometimes, but we only air them on our private Facebook page. We do a thing called Spotlight where we can learn a little bit about you when you join. If you want to do a Spotlight, I haven't done them in a while because when I lost my dad, it hit me pretty hard. And honestly, if it hadn't been for Terri's Tribe on my Patreon page, it would have been harder to cope with because they all rallied around me and helped me to understand because it's the first big loss. I mean, I lost my mentor, my puppet mentor. So that was rough, but not like my dad. My dad, who was my hero, is my hero. And I get these weird melancholy feelings and I don't know what to do with them because I don't get depressed. And now I'm feeling depressed at times and I don't know how to handle it. So in Terri's Tribe, that's what I do. I'm not going to burden you with it. But I am going to help you to get past some of this stuff that I hear. Okay, because John is right. It's challenging nowadays. So consider Patreon, consider joining, go here, check it out. You can go at a higher level, but $5 a month is fine. Honestly, guys, just come and try it out because I think it will do you a lot of good. Okay, it's a really good group of people. and they stay, and and it's because their voice matters in a place where maybe you feel that your voice doesn't matter. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I think it's a important thing to have. Hi, let's see who I got here. Odie. Is it Odie? I'm sorry, Odie, my glasses. Braden, it is nice to see you too. It is nice to see you too. So wrapping it, coming back to your job as a creative or your job as a person. All right. As I started to tell you, my husband was working for Universal. Let's just say for Universal. We're going to keep it big. He's retired now. But Universal, as another corporation, started to notice that, work for hires were great. You didn't have to worry about the pension. You didn't have to worry about vacation time. There were a lot of things you didn't have to worry about if they weren't an employee. Okay. And it looked really sweet. And many commercial venues go, ooh, yummy. But what they have to be careful of is that as an independent contractor, the 1099 person, you come and go as you please. You have that right. And if you are a corporation and you want that right not to be exercised by said independent contractor, you have to have a certain hiring facility in place, like an agency. That's what Disney does now, is they go through a hiring agency, because they got in trouble for telling independent contractors like myself, wasn't me, but I mean people like me, when to come in and when to leave. And they couldn't do that. Now that they go through this, it's all agreed upon ahead. It's above board. I mean, it's a lot convoluted. We don't need to get into that. But the bottom line is this: when an independent contractor, when an independent work for hire person decides he sees a job that he'd like to do instead, or he just feels like leaving, out they go. Because as much as a corporation isn't attached to you, you are not attached to the corporation. Now, that being said, there is the possibility that if you just lied out in the middle of a very heavy project, they won't call you back. But it depends on what you do. In certain cases at Universal, this was huge. And I remember that the pressure that the people who were employees at Universal, where my husband worked, had a lot of pressure on them around the holidays, which are coming up, gang. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, blah, blah, blah. Many contract work for hires, call them what they will. You, if that's you, would walk out and say, hey, man, I'm going to spend time with my family. Or I'm taking a couple weeks off. I've worked very hard. Done. See ya. And you can do nothing. And there you are with a project, huge project. And now you got 2 people in position to help you with that project when you need 10. So many of the people at Universal who are in and around my husband and what he did, and it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, you know who you are. You could come back at any time and leave at any time because they needed you. They needed you. And they may not want to hire you because you lit out, but they need you. They know if your work is good, you're going to help catch them up. They're going to help get you there. You may be a wonderful person, but you just leave a lot. I mean, you might be someone who plans for the year as a vagabond, independent contractor, work for hire person, who, doesn't spend your money like it's forever with you, but you save it, you sock it away, you make a plan for your year so that at the end of the year you can take some time off to be with your family or take a nice vacation or whatever during the holidays. The point is that the corporations began to realize that the one caveat about hiring the 1099er is that they can split when they want. Now, we don't do that as creatives because we don't want to leave people in the lurch. We have a heart. We're human beings. But this is the way it was. And this is with us when we were doing it. This 1099 stuff, this work for hire, job to job to job to job. That's what we did. And we would leave a job, we'd finish. But before we finished, we'd start to talk to each other and say, have you heard anything on the jungle drums as to something else we could go to? because this is about to close up. So in the case of Dune, after that, I went to Ghostbusters, and I ended up working on Ghostbusters on several levels. But the point is that you've got to be the master of all you survey. You got to be the one that does it. And you're creative. You can also be working on a project of your own. And there's things like Kickstarter, where you can get it on Kickstarter and have backers back your project that you can be in control of. I mean, seriously, guys, there's stuff on the internet now where you can be the master of what you do. Okay, maybe you don't want to create a company, but maybe you want to get together with a few artists and create something fabulous. Microsoft. I don't know. Apple. You get with your friends and you make something marvelous. You never know what you're going to come up with. And that way, you don't have to be beholden to people who decide what you can and can't do. You know, you can broadcast like I do and offer people things on your channel. Like, go buy this Disney pin, guys. It's for sale now at my online store. TerriHarDin.com, click on online store. It's right up in front. Disney pin, just for you, $20. Simple as that. You got to let people know. Is that selling? You decide. But I look at it as, what if you're a collector of pins and you have every Disney pin from the time it opened? And I decide that I don't want to sell to you because it's unsavory. And you don't get to know about this pin. And then this pin sells out and you lose it because now you don't have a pin for the 69th birthday. Don't look at it as selling. Look at it. I mean, it is selling. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's not, but you're letting people know. You're not saying, give me your arm, go to the website, buy it now, or, you're not saying that. You're just giving them information. You're letting them know, John Chester, I'm going to use him as an example. John Chester is amazing. When he started talking about his therapy through music, I was blown away. And I kept saying to John, get on a channel and start talking about why this is so important in music today. You don't just get on and sell your thing. You got to create a relationship. This is true. And I have a relationship with most of the people on this channel and definitely in my tribe. We have a relationship together. They help me create the things that I create. They help me work through challenges that I have, and I work to help you work through challenges as well on my Patreon page. But you can then say, hey guys, I'm working on this package and I want to present it to the world about how music can be therapeutic. And then you talk about it. You say how it's going to be. By starting, by journaling, by humming, by singing. Who cares if you have a shower voice? It lifts you up, doesn't it? Deo, Deo. Daylight come and me wanna go home. I mean, come on. Can you sing that like, Deo, oh, daylight come and me. You can't do it. You can't do it. It automatically, music lifts you. It can create emotional situations in you. Baby of Mine, for example, from Dumbo, the animated version that Disney did. Please don't confuse it with the Tim Burton version, which I refuse to watch. That's another story. Baby of Mine. When I am acting in an audition and I need to cry on cue, I simply, in my head, like the Kung Fu Panda, start to sing Baby of Mine from Dumbo. Now, for those of you who haven't seen Dumbo in a while, you may not remember, that's when Mom is trapped in a cage and Dumbo's outside reaching his little trunk up to his mama because he can't understand why she's being isolated for defending her baby. And she rocks him. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Now, look at my eyes. Every time it makes me cry. So if I need to cry on cue at an audition, I just do that. And I cry on cue every single time. It's having a challenge, meeting that challenge with something. Okay? So please, I love you like you don't know. Okay? I am here to help you. My Patreon page is here to inspire you. Feel free to ask me questions. Feel free to come on this channel. I'm here every Monday and Fridays. I usually do something pre-recorded because I'm meeting with my tribe. But the point is this, that this is important to me to do this channel because I want you to understand that where you see no hope, I see hope. And my superpower, you all have superpowers. And you may say Terry's superpower is to create something from nothing. And yeah, that's pretty super. Yeah, I am a unicorn, by the way. But my superpower is to ignite the wet powder you cannot. And I have a lot of success stories of artists or people who are creative who aren't quite sure how to move forward, how to make a living doing what they love. They don't know. And I can help you get there. That's what the Patreon page gets you started doing. I also have retreats that I do, things of this nature. I haven't done them in a while, and nor do I know if I'm going to do it this year because I just don't know. There's, I'm in probate having to do with my father, and I think that's one of the reasons I can't sort of get a little more, I don't know, a little less depressed about that. It's going at lightning speed, and I really love it because I've got this amazing lawyer who's an artist at what he does. He's a probate artist. I mean, art means you're passionate about what you do. Okay? So I have artists who are cleaning. That's the palette they use. Artists who are accountants. That's the palette they use. They work in numbers like nobody's business. They dazzle me with numbers. So artist does not mean painter, photographer, performer, sculptor, whatever you're doing. Okay. It means that you're passionate about what you do and you do it with love and detail and you make it magical. Okay. I remember I had my bathroom cleaned once by a lady who she was a true artist because it was cleaner than when we bought the house. So you just find these artists and you employ them and you work with them and you go, oh my gosh, I have a gardener that's a maestro. I just need to get him here more often because other people have found out too. So my garden is a little overgrown, but I've told him it's time to have him make that palette less messy in the backyard. But the point is that you need to understand that everyone can be an artist if you're passionate about something. So please, animators and makeup artists and all of you guys out there who are saying employment is hard, well, I agree. It is. It's not easy. Okay. But the internet is a platform that allows you to get to be known by people, to bring people into your common thinking and to inspire them as I am doing for you, I hope, right now. Okay? So this was very important for me to pull this out because it's hot here. It's awful. And people are miserable. They're miserable because it's hot. It's yucky. Blah. It's just blah. We're going to get cooler. In fact, it looks like a slip and slide going in, like a roller coaster. It's like Wednesday. And then night fell, which we're really excited. It's going to go from like 115 to 80 or something lovely. I can't wait. But the point is that we're affected by our environments as creative people, and you're all creative. This is what, coming back to pumpkins, is why I ask you to come and carve with me, because I will show you that you have this ability. It's just you may work in a different venue than I do or anyone does. But get with your friends. As animators, you're geniuses. You make magic. Just because someone hasn't employed you doesn't mean you can't make magic. Do you see that, right? You see that, right? Because here's why. Why should you animate? Whether it's for you or with your friends, or why should you do that creative thing? Forgive me. I'm treating you like family now because I couldn't breathe. Because a step in any direction, even if it's the wrong direction, creates momentum. Okay? A step in any direction, even if it's the wrong direction, creates momentum, and things will fall upon you. Things that you want will happen. And then say it out loud what you want to do. tell people, like, I want to meet Clint Eastwood. And time is running out because the man's getting older every day. And so am I, for that matter. But I've met Eli Wallach and I've met Lee Van Cleef, and I love Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and I'd love to tell them. I'd love to tell Clint. I'd love 15 minutes of his time to just tell him how grateful I am that he took that job as a young, shy, scared man. Can you ever believe that Clint Eastwood was ever nervous and scared about doing a show? He was. Eli Wallach told me that. Yeah. So if you have ties with Clint Eastwood, tell him I'll give $1,000 to his favorite charity if I just can have 15 minutes of his time, because we do have to not be takers. We have to be givers as well. So we can't go to someone and say, I mean, you could, may I have your autograph? Okay. But then pay that $20 if they're at an event and they charge for that signature, because we cannot just do it out of the kindness of our hearts anymore, because there's a lot of people who the signature it has a price on the signature. You understand, the autographs have a price in that world of people like myself. Okay. So when I used to say, donate money, many of the other people who were signing that day said, no, you don't. Okay. Because that's undercutting us. And because I love my fellow autograph people, I charge. So understand that that's why we charge, because we protect each other. We protect our world of photographic autograph photographs. Okay. So, that's what it works like, and that's what it's like. And let's see what Susan says. Thought maybe you ran all day. Maybe you ran all days of Disneyland runs and had melted on the pavement. Oh no, darling. No, I learned a long time ago. Labor Day is not the day to run. I don't know why. Always hot, horrible days. And no, I don't run outside anymore. I virtually run. Susan, I got to tell you, have you done a virtual Disneyland race? I got to show you sometime. I can't now because I got to go, but I got to show you sometime. You will be blown away at the way the virtual races are handled by Disney. You know, as you get you remember you go to these Run Disney races and you get your shirts in a bag, like everything is in a clear giant bag, and they hand it to you. There you go. Here you go. Enjoy. It looks like, you walk around with this bag. They put it in a designer box. You open it up. Each medal has its own space. Each t-shirt is tucked in a beautiful place, beautifully illustrated, and half the price of a live run. So I can create my own hills. I can create my own atmosphere. I can create my own course. It can be all flat if I want it. And I can pause it, go to the bathroom, and not wait in line, not get heat stroke. I'm 67. Let me tell you about the 60s. Comfort and safety. That's me. I don't want to park where there's no parking. I don't want to drive crowded times. I don't want to eat in a crowded restaurant. Being semi-retired, I go when the crowds are low. I just love comfort and convenience, and running or cycling in the Disney races. Sometimes I cycle them. I won't lie, but I do the miles when I join them. And then I get a box in the mail that is so gorgeous. I said, what have I been doing? I love seeing the people. Don't get me wrong. But what have I been doing? What have I been doing? They're already organized in such a beautiful way. I just put them on a shelf. They're great. I love it. You have to be your own person. I mean, some people need other people to do the race, but I do the races. So there you go. Just food for thought, Susan. You might try one, because like this one, if I was going to do it, I'd do it virtually, because I'd have been in my air conditioned house. Like, no way. 115, 120 degree weather, 115, 120 degree weather in places that you're not used to that. Forget about it. No. Just the way I feel. I'm doing fine, Mike. And with that, guys, I'm going to go. I love you. Millions blessings upon you. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who are listening to me after the live broadcast, welcome. And please consider subscribing if my crazy brain is something you want to continue to follow and my words have resonated with you. Honestly, when you're feeling kind of cruddy, it's good to come on my channel. I mean, I'm serious, because you can tell me that you're feeling a bit cruddy and you can tell me what it is and I can give you some little thoughts. But the best place to do it is patreon.com/Terri Hardin. $5 a month. You can put a jar by your door, throw a quarter in it every day, and have the money to pay for it. So guys, I love you. Do something nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. Now that I have those little depression times, that is exactly what I do. I call someone I haven't talked to, or right now I'm working on getting a phone for my mother so that she can call me from the convalescent hospital where she is now being taken care of because she doesn't walk anymore. And it's a long story, which I won't go into, but the bottom line is that when I get sick, the one thing that's bad, that's not good, let me say it this way, I don't want to really use the word bad, but the one thing that's not good about this convalescent hospital is trying to call my mother and let her know I'm sick like I was last week. It's impossible. It's impossible. It just, they must have one iPad for like 40 residents or 100 residents. I don't know. It just doesn't work. So I finally sat with the social worker and I finally sat with my mother. You might say cell phone with my mother, but my mother's paranoid, worried that somebody might take her cell phone. And I feel that. I understand it. So I'm getting her a landline. Thank you, AT&T, for not being successful in killing landlines. I'm getting a landline for my mother. She doesn't see very well anymore, so it's got big buttons, but more importantly, it's got big sections for you to put pictures of people she wants to call, but she doesn't see pictures very well anymore. So I pulled out a color swatch sheet and I pointed to colors she could see. What's this color? And she would tell me. The two colors she could identify really well were red and blue. So I will be red and my sister will be blue. And that's all she has to do. If she wants to talk to my sister, she pushes a big 1" by 1" blue button. And if she wants to talk to me, she can push the red button, the hotline. She needs to talk to Terri for any reason, because I'm getting ready to go to Vermont to promote a book, promote my children's books that I illustrated with my author and friend, Lynette Eklund. And we're going to be in Vermont promoting him at a festival, Giggling Pumpkins and Whispering Corn, children's books. They're fabulous. You can go to my store site, click on online store off my website, terrihardin.com, and look at the books. They're there. You can check them out. We have a few first editions of the pumpkin book left, but very few. I think I've got maybe a dozen, 12 left before that first edition is sold out. But I have some I will be offering at the places and locations I'll be demonstrating, and I'll get that to you soon enough, okay? But visit their website, look around, check it out, see what you think. And I like you too, Mike. Always a pleasure to see you, Mike. Always. You always ask how me and my mom is, and I always love that you do that. You never fail. Which button sends up the bat signal? For my mother, it's the red one. She pushes the red one and it sends the bat signal up to me. But you can imagine being in a convalescent hospital and people aren't visiting you because it's summertime. First of all, it's super hot. And second of all, it's summertime. So she has so many friends, but they've got kids or they've got jobs or they've got the gas is at least the gas has come down a little bit in California, but there's all of these issues that if I live like a stone's throw away from my mother. But if I am like this, I don't go and see her because she's in her 80s. And the least little bug can be devastating to a person in their 80s or their 90s. So I'm very careful when I have something like this. I'm not going to places where I could pass on that what I do not know that I could pass on. Now I could wear a mask, of course, and I do that, but I got to take it off to blow my nose. No, just don't do it. But it would be great to be able to call my mother on her hotline and let her know I'm sick. which is almost impossible. I have to go through such a chain of commands just to let her know that I'm not purposely avoiding her, but that I'm sick, or I'm not well, or I'm taking care of probate, or in the case my husband had a hernia surgery, I had to help him with that. There's life, isn't there life, guys? So it would be great to be able to call her and spend an hour on the phone with her and have her friends call her, because they all want to see how she's doing. They just can't necessarily get in the car and get there. So this is why this is my mission, is to get this phone for her. So, and then give everyone that loves her the number so that they can inundate her with calls day or night. And she can be happy to talk to them on the phone. Because she loves to talk on the phone. And sometimes she likes to sing on the phone. So it's all good. So I know at the end of this, you weren't really prepared for that rant, but this is what the channel is like. It's Terri, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Know that I care about you. I love you. I hope that you will go out and create. Don't wait. Create. Don't wait. And because you've got the power, right? You all do. You really do. That comes from my heart, okay? And do something nice for someone else, because it'll make you feel better. So if you're in that dark spot, get out, do something nice, make a call, or do this mission thing that I'm doing now, okay? All right. Take care. I love you. Be well. And it'll either be pre-record on Friday or I'll see you live. I just don't know yet. And that's because it's a busy summer. It's one of the busiest I've ever, I have to say, that I've ever been a part of. But know if I can see you live, I will. And if I can't, I'll show you something cool. Okay? All right. I promise. All right. Take care. Be well.